Almudena Cathedral. The Holy Metropolitan Cathedral of Santa María la Real de la Almudena, known simply as the Almudena Cathedral, is a Catholic cathedral dedicated to the Virgin Maryunder, the invocation of the Almudena, and episcopal seat of Madrid. Built very close to the site of the previous and very old church of Santa María de la Almudena, which was built on a mosque, the cathedral is dedicated to the Virgin of the Almudena, patron saint of Madrid. The name of this virgin and cathedral derive from the Arabic word al-mudayna, which means citadel. The cathedral is located in the historic center of the city of Madrid. The main façade is in front of the royal palace, while the façade of the transept faces Calle de Bailén, and access to the crypt is via the Cuesta de la Vega, at the end of Calle Mayor. Unlike most Christian temples, which have an east-west orientation, the cathedral has a north-south orientation, the result of its conception as an integral part of the royal palace complex. The cathedral is the main temple of the Archdiocese of Madrid, seat of the Archbishop and the Metropolitan chapter. It is a building of 102 meters in length and 73 meters in maximum height, built from the end of the 19th century to the end of the 20th, in different architectural styles: neoclassical on the outside, neo-Gothic on the inside, and neo-Romanesque in the crypt. It was consecrated on June 15, 1993 by Pope St. John Paul II, during his fourth trip to Spain. History: stone sculpture of the Virgin de la Almudena, in a niche on the Cuesta de la Vega. According to tradition, this was the place where the image was miraculously found, after the Muslim invasion. According to legend, when in 1083 King Alfonso VI of Leon conquered Madrid and expelled the Muslims, he became obsessed with finding a valuable icon of the Virgin Mary that centuries earlier had been hidden within the walls of the citadel so that it would be safe. Unable to locate the lost figure, Alfonso VI gave himself up to prayer until a section of the walls collapsed and left the image in view, still illuminated by the candles with which it had been buried centuries ago. The place of the miraculous and legendary event is marked, outside the cathedral, by a niche with a statue of the Virgin. The origins of the Almudena Cathedral can be traced back to the small church of Santa María de la Almudena, of late medieval origin, which was located a few meters from the current cathedral, which stands, according to recent excavations, on the site occupied by the Jewish quarter of Madrid. For centuries there were attempts to give greater grandeur to the aforementioned parish, attempts that became more intense with the consolidation of the empire and with the establishment of the seat of the court in the town. According to a report from 1567, for the universal good of the town and its land, it is important and has great need that a cathedral church and the head of a bishopric be built in it. However, the town belonged to the Archdiocese of Toledo, the former capital of the Hispanic Visigothic kingdom, which was always opposed to losing its ecclesiastical capital. Thus, an attempt was made to expand and reform the small church of Santa María until its disappearance in 1868, when it was demolished to widen Calle Mayor. Finally, the need to build a new church to accommodate the cult of the patron saint of Madrid was imposed. On April 4, 1883, King Alfonso XII laid the first stone of the new building, which would be the future Cathedral of Madrid, on land that, through the mediation of Queen María de las Mercedes de Orleans, a great devotee of the Virgin of the Almudena, was ceded by the royal heritage in 1879. The definitive endorsement for the construction was the creation of the Diocese of Madrid-Alcalá, by means of a bull given by Leo XIII on March 7, 1885. While the cathedral was being built, the old Jesuit church of the Imperial College, which at that time was considered collegiate, under the invocation of San Isidro, became the cathedral temple of the new diocese. In 1964, Casimiro Morcillo received the title of archbishop, and the Diocese of Madrid-Alcalá was elevated to the rank of archdiocese. This archdiocese was renamed the Archdiocese of Madrid in 1991, with the restoration of the Diocese of Alcalá de Henares. The architect Francisco de Cubas, in charge of the project, reformed its initial project as a parish church, proposing an imposing neo-Gothic cathedral that followed the prevailing fashion in Europe due to the influence of Viollet-le-Duc. Navascu described it as the most important neo-medieval project of Spanish architecture of the 19th century. The construction work began with the crypt, built in Neo-Romanesque style, with independent access through the Cuesta de la Vega and open for worship in 1911, once it was completed by Enrique Maria Rapols y Vargas. At the same time, the first pillars were erected. After the hiatus of the Civil War, the mayor of Madrid at the time, José Moreno Torres, commissioned the architect Luis Mostero to resume the works and, once again, there were important discrepancies over the architectural style. The works were practically abandoned until 1950, the year in which Fernando Chueca Goitia and Carlos Sidro won the competition called for the completion of the works. The appearance of the temple then changed, since, although the Gothic style of the original project for the interior of the cathedral was maintained, the exterior would now be neoclassical, this being the appearance it maintains today. In this way, the cathedral would be better integrated with the surroundings of the royal palace. Original project by Francisco de Cubas. The works continued until they were stopped in 1965, due to the lack of funds and support from the Madrid City Council. Almost 20 years passed until, in 1984, a board of trustees was created that obtained the support of public and private institutions to complete the works. The cathedral was consecrated by Pope John Paul II on June 15, 1993, taking over from the Collegiate Church of San Isidro, which had been the provisional cathedral of Madrid since 1885. Since its opening, the cathedral has been closely linked to the religious acts of the Spanish royal family. On November 2000, Queen Maria de las Mercedes de Orleans, first wife of Alfonso XII, a great promoter of the works and whose mortal remains had remained in the monastery of El Escorial until the completion of the cathedral temple, was buried in the funeral chapel, under the altar of the Virgin. On May 22, 2004, the wedding of King Felipe VI, then Prince of Asturias, with Letizia Ortiz was celebrated. It was the first royal wedding in the capital in 98 years. It was held before more than 1,200 guests, including representatives of all the royal houses of Europe. In 2005, an exhibition on the Immaculate Conception in Spain took place, organized by the Las Edades del Hombre Foundation. On August 20, 2011, Benedict XVI became the second pope to visit the cathedral, where he presided and celebrated Mass with seminarians as part of the events scheduled for the 26th World Youth Day. The Almudena Cathedral is usually the scene of some state ceremonies. It has been the setting, among many others, for the state funerals of former Presidents Leopoldo Calvo Sotelo in 2008 and Adolfo Suarez in 2014. The Almudena Cathedral is one of the most recently built Spanish cathedrals, along with the Cathedral of San Cristobal de la Laguna de Tenerife and the Cathedral of Maria Immaculada in Vitoria. Materials. The ashlars of the plinth and the bases of the columns were made with dolomitic stone, dolomicrite, that came from the town of Bides, in the province of Guadalajara. The façade, with white tones and pink veins, is made with microtic limestones veined from Portugal, and the most ornamental part of the façade is made with an oolitic limestone, also from Portugal. From 1911 onwards, work continued with a limestone from Novelda, province of Alicante, which has cream tones. The main doorway, with its two towers, is made of granite from Zarzalejo, in the community of Madrid. The only granite columns in the temple, located between the two towers of this main façade, come from the quarries of the Madrid municipality of El Bolo, Cerceda, and Matalpino, where their stonemasons extracted this rock and sculpted it in the 50s. Description. Outside. Perhaps the most striking element on the outside of the cathedral is the dome, which is double, Gothic seen from the inside, but with Baroque reminiscences on the outside. It has an octagonal drum in which 4 large thermal holes open and a small lantern as a finish. The roof is made of dark slate. Like pinnacles, 12 statues representing the apostles, St. Philip, St. Bartholomew, St. Matthew, St. Simon, St. Jude Thaddeus, St. James the Less, St. Matthias, St. Barnabas, St. Peter, St. James the Greater, St. John, and St. Andrew. They are the work of the sculptor Luis Sanguino. Main façade. Night view. The main façade, towards the Plaza de la Armeria, is the one located at the foot of the temple and looks towards the south face of the royal palace. It consists of a large portico with a double colonnade, the lower floor being Tuscan-inspired and the upper one of Ionic order. This complex, with a neoclassical air, was topped after the consecration of the cathedral by a Baroque niche, sheltering an image of the Virgin of the Almudena. 4 statues were also placed, the work of the sculptor Ramon Chaparro, representing 4 Spanish saints: San Isidro Labrador, Santa Maria de la Cabeza, Santa Teresa de Jesus, and San Fernando, made of white stone from Colmena de Oreja. On the balcony, a stained glass window of 10 square meters, representing the Virgin of Lis, and 4 statues representing the 4 evangelists by the sculptor José Luis Pérez. 2 large coats of arms, also executed by the sculptor Pérez, are located at the bottom of the towers, representing the full arms of the Spanish royal house and the coat of arms of the Pope who consecrated the cathedral, John Paul II. At the ends of the façade, in 2 niches, 2 bronze statues of St. Peter and St. Paul, the work of Juan de Avalos. Topping the niches, 2 reliefs, the delivery of the keys to St. Peter and the conversion of St. Paul. The doors are made of bronze. The central has decorations with the Trinitarian theme, commemorating the Jubilee of the year 2000. One of the lateral ones refers to the monarchy of Spain, with effigies of the kings of the Reconquista. The other is dedicated to Latin America. They are the work of the sculptor Sanguino. Of the 2 towers on this façade, the one on the right is known as Mariana or de los Gallegos, since the bells were donated by Galicians, and each of them has a traditional Marian devotion: Santa María la Real de la Almudena, Santa María de la Paloma, Santa María de Atacha, and Santa María de la Flor de Lis. In the tower on the left, which overlooks Calle de Bailén, is the Carillon, made in Saldana, Palencia, as well as the Benedicta and Silla Domini, Magnificat and Grazia Plena bells. Façade of Bailén. Bronze door. This façade is the one used daily for access to the cathedral. It corresponds to the eastern part of the transept of the temple, overlooking Calle de Bailén. In the design of this façade, there is a certain escurial influence in its monumentality and nakedness, only broken by the monumental bronze doors. These are also the work of the sculptor Sanguino. The left side represents the discovery of the Virgin of the Almudena by King Alfonso VI of Leon in the year 1085. The central one commemorates the day of the consecration of the cathedral by Pope John Paul II on June 15, 1993, with images of King Juan Carlos I and Queen Sofia, Dona Maria de la Mercedes, mother of the king, and the then Archbishop of Madrid, Ángel Suquia. Finally, the right side door illustrates the procession of the Virgin de la Almudena on November 9th, the day of her feast day, through the streets of Madrid. In it you can see the Cardinal Archbishop Antonio Maria Rucco Varela and the most emblematic monuments of the city. The decoration is completed with 2 statues of San Joaquin and Santa Ana, parents of the Virgin Mary, placed in niches at the top of the façade, both works by José Luis Pérez. In front of this façade, a square serves as a wide atrium. It is commonly known as John Paul II Square because of the statue of more than 3 meters that represents this pope, made by the sculptor Juan de Avalos. The square is also adorned with 4 fountains and lampposts in Fernandino style. It is accessed by an imperial staircase and side ramps. The entire complex is enclosed by bars, crowned by the bronze statues of Saint Anthony Mary Claret, Saint Ignatius of Loyola, and Saint John of Avila, the work of the sculptor Consuelo Perea. Interior. Inside, towards the presbytery, the cathedral has a Latin cross-floor plan, consisting of a central nave and 2 side naves, a wide transept with 3 naves, curved chauvet with ambulatory and 5 radial chapels. The exterior of the cathedral, in an eclectic style in which neoclassical and Baroque lines predominate, contrasts with the interior, which follows the patterns of the neo-Gothic style, including polychrome stained glass windows and triforium. Much of the liturgical furniture also follows this style. The table of the main altar is made of green marble and is located in the center of the transept. To the right of it is the episcopal chair, with Gothic lines, carved in walnut in 1885. Behind the main altar, the presbytery is presided over by a sculpture of the crucified Christ, in Baroque style, the work of the distinguished Cordovan image-maker Juan de Mesa, 1583 to 1627, made in 1620, and which, like the choir stalls, comes from the Collegiate Church of San Isidro, for which it was commissioned by the Imperial College. It is a key work of Spanish sculptural Baroque, despite the fact that it had to be restored after the damage suffered during the Spanish Civil War. The Virgin of Almudena, patron saint of the city, has her altar in the transept of the right nave, in front of the entrance on Calle de Bailén. It is a raised altar, which is accessed by two side stairs with bronze railings. The original sculpture, representing the Virgin with the Child in her arms, is a carved and polychrome wooden image in Gothic style. It is placed in the central niche of a valuable altarpiece, made by John of Burgundy at the end of the 15th century. It is made up of 18 panels representing scenes from the lives of Jesus and Mary, of pleasant color. The masonry and the predella are modern work in neo-Gothic style. The image of the Virgin is raised on a silver pedestal from the 17th century, with candles and glows of the same material and period, given by the Villa de Madrid. Under the lowered arch formed by the stairs is the tomb of Queen Maria de las Mercedes, wife of Alfonso XII, who died in 1878. Her remains were transferred there in 2000, fulfilling the sovereign's wish to be buried at the feet of the Virgin. In the space of the transept preceding the staircase, you can see an excellent sculpture representing the fall of Jesus with the cross, known as Christ of Mercy. It is a Baroque carving of clothing, of intense realism and truthful polychromy, attributed to Juan Martínez Montañez. On the opposite side is another masterpiece of Baroque imagery, a Christ tied to the column, the work of the Neapolitan sculptor Giacomo Colombo, signed and dated on the base in 1698. Exterior of the dome. At the beginning of the ambulatory is the Chapel of the Blessed Sacrament, reserved for Eucharistic adoration, which focuses the attention of the chapel with a modern tabernacle ostensorium. The carving of the Virgin del Monte, a medieval Gothic sculpture from the 13th century, is also worshipped in this chapel. At the intersection with the transept, on the side of the epistle, there is a large painting, which presided for some time over the high altar of the cathedral, depicting the preparations for the crucifixion. It comes from the disappeared Madrid convent of the Capuchins of Patience, and is the work of the painter Francisco Ricci, 1651, highlighting the somber, tense, and moving atmosphere that presides over the painting, described with agile brushstrokes. It is a key work of Spanish Baroque painting, and one of the most outstanding of all those kept in the temple. At the foot of this canvas, an excellent reclining Christ by the sculptor Juan de Avalos, with a vigorous anatomy. In the arm of the opposite transept, you can see an altarpiece of painted panels in the Gothic style, a work of the 15th-16th centuries, attributed to Juan González de Becerril. The central chapel of the ambulatory is dedicated to Saint Isidro Labrador and his wife, Saint Maria de la Cabeza, whose images, Baroque polychrome carvings, attributed to Juan Villabril Huayron, 17th-18th centuries, flank the funerary chest from the 13th century, which for a time contained the incorrupt remains of the saint, currently kept in the Collegiate Church of San Isidro. The ark is a unique work of medieval art, with various painted scenes depicting passages from the saint's life. Central nave and sides. Interior of the dome. The roof of the central nave, unlike the side ones that follow the Gothic schemes, simple ribbed vault, is resolved by means of an ingenious solution of honeycomb concrete, which allowed costs and work to be reduced. The pictorial decoration of this structure is geometric, the work of the painter José Luis Galicia, within a style that recalls the traditional Mudejar coffered ceilings, especially in the profuse use of gold leaf and contrasting ranges of colors. The dome, painted by the same artist, has as its motif the four elements, earth, sea, fire, and air, in its four vertices, which support the celestial vault. The chapels in the side aisles are dedicated to contemporary saints. Saint Josemaria Escriva de Balaguer, decorated with reliefs and sculpture of the saint by Venancio Blanco. Saint Maria Michaela of the Blessed Sacrament. Blessed Mariana de Jesus, a Mercedarian born in Madrid. Saint Maravillas de Jesus, from Madrid, a Discalced Carmelite. Saint Angela de la Cruz. Saint Vincent Delaware Paul, and Saint Luisa de Marillac. Saint Pedro Poveda, Saint Maria Soledad Torres Acosta, and Saint Maria Josefa del Corazon of Jesus. All of them are organized and decorated with images and furniture in a contemporary style, for the most part. At the foot of the temple are the penitential chapel and the baptismal chapel, the latter with a simple black marble basin and an outstanding sculpture of Saint John the Baptist, the work of Robert Michel, from the 18th century. Next to the main sacristy, there is the Chapel of John Paul II, inaugurated by Cardinal Osaro, November 13, 2022. The cathedral organ, located in the upper choir at the foot of the church, was built by the organ builder Gerhard Grenzing, and is an exceptional piece. It consists of 4 keyboards, plus a pedal keyboard, and has mechanical and electrical couplings. The keyboard of the outer chains has 16 lines of tubes, the largest has 11 lines. 21 lines of pipes are for the expressive keyboard, 9 for the trumpet, and the pedal adds 13 more lines. Interior, illuminated by the light colored by the stained glass windows. Stained glass windows and paintings in the apse. On April 28, 2004, Cardinal Rucco Varela, Archbishop of Madrid, blessed the paintings and stained glass windows that decorate the apse of the cathedral. They were commissioned to the religious and artist Kiko Arguello. The murals depict, from left to right, the baptism, the transfiguration, the crucifixion, Christ Pantocrator, the resurrection, the ascension, and the coming of the Holy Spirit at Pentecost. In the center of the composition, presiding over the entire cathedral, is the image of the Pantocrator, depicted as Jesus at his second coming. On the open book held by the Pantocrator is written, "Love your enemies. I'm coming soon." These paintings are reminiscent in their general style of the traditional icons of the Orthodox churches, with a contemporary nuance in the details. Above the paintings, there are 7 stained glass windows dedicated to the Word or Word of God, with his name in different languages: Latin verbum, Greek logos, Hebrew daber, Syriac malak, Russian slovo, and Spanish palabra. In the center, the name of Mary, the cathedral's dedication. The stained glass windows, not being figurative, create a balance between the painted figures, the chromaticism of the stained glass windows, and that of the ceiling in a synthesis of tradition and modernity. However, the whole has been controversial, questioning its aesthetic taste and its originality and relevance. Crypt. Columns of the crypt. The Almudena crypt was the first structure built in the cathedral. It was erected in Neo-Romanesque style, with access on the side of the Cuesta de la Vega. It was opened for worship in 1911, when it was completed by the architect Enrique Maria Rapuls, who is buried in it. It contains a 16th-century image of the Virgin of the Almudena. It's more than 400 columns crowned with capitals, all of them different, which evoke biblical figures and motifs of nature, as well as the figure of the bear and the strawberry tree, symbol of Madrid, stand out. Its façade has medieval references, with a triple door with a semicircular arch. It is presided over by an image of the Almudena, next to the heart of Jesus and San Isidro, sheltered by an ambulatory. It has 5 naves, and on its sides 18 chapels. Artists such as Benliur in the reliefs or Momagian, with stained glass windows that illuminate the chapels, have intervened in them. The decoration of the chapels mixes mosaics of Byzantine tradition, reliefs and images of classical proportions, as well as stained glass windows in the Gothic style. The votive lamps on the ceiling are inspired by the treasure of Guerrezer, found in Toledo in the mid-19th century. Personalities buried in the crypt of the cathedral include Her Majesty Mercedes of Orleans, Queen of Spain, 1860 to 1878. His Highness Prince Ferdinand of Bavaria, 1884 to 1958. His Highness Joseph Eugene, Prince of Bavaria, 1909 to 1966. His Highness Ludwig Alphonsus, Prince of Bavaria, 1906 to 1983. Her Highness Maria de la Assumption Solange de Messia y de Lesseps, Princess of Bavaria and Countess of Odile, 1911 to 2005. Francisco de Cubas, First Marquis of Cubas, 1826 to 1899. Francisco de Cubas Huayras, Second Marquis of Cubas, Second Marquis of Fontalba and Grandee of Spain, 1868 to 1937. Estanislo de Urquio y Landulus, First Marquis of Urquijo, 1817 to 1889. Estanislao de Urquijo y Asia, 3 Marquis of Urquijo, 1872 to 1948. Cardinal Ángel Suquia Goicoechea, 1916 to 2006. Fernando Rielo Partal, 1923 to 2004. Carmen Franco, First Duchess of Franco, 1926 to 2017. Cristobal Martinez Bordiu, ex-Marquis of Villaverde, 1922 to 1998. Alfonso Pena Buff, Spanish politician, 1888 to 1966. Enrique Maria Rapuls, architect of the crypt of the al-Mudayna, 1845 to 1922. Amparo Portilla Crespo, 1925 to 1996. Museum. Inside the temple there is a museum in which everything from mosaics to episcopal coats of arms and ornament are exhibited. Also, the entrance to this museum includes the climb to the dome of the cathedral.